Hey folks, this is BestInSlot and welcome back to our mod spotlight series for Jurassic World Evolution 2. And rather surprisingly, I have 9 brand new mods to show you in today's video. Tons of decorations, tons of new cosmetics, tons of new species, including some mammals and some very cool stuff. No time to waste, let's get started. And our very first animal then is Smilodon by Yosoba, of course inspired by the Camp Cretaceous version. And I've got to say, modelled incredible. Not even just the modelling's great. It looks like the Camp Cretaceous version of the animal. You know, got this little puff of fur at the side. It's got that slight cartoony aesthetic going on, which you would expect with an animal that comes straight from Camp Cretaceous. But the rigging is what really impresses me on this one, because it really does feel like there's a 4-legged quadrupedal mammal rig in the game somewhere and they've brought it in. It is superb how well this thing has been realised and how well it comes into the game. Are we about to see a social animation? I think so. It's kind of adorable, isn't it? I mean, it really fits. It really works. It's crazy. Shout out to Yosoba for this one. Those piercing green eyes as well. Absolutely stupendous work. So, Smilodon, inspired by the Camp Cretaceous version, as I say, which to me at the time kind of felt like the start of something new, and now kind of more feels like a very strange anomaly, because it hasn't really gone or led anywhere else whatsoever. And Smilodon comes in 3 species. We've got Gracilis, Fatalis, and the species that's in Camp Cretaceous, and therefore the species you're looking at right now, Populator. Now, Populator is the biggest of the... Let's go look at this one. Populator is the biggest of the bunch. But saying that, it isn't actually that much bigger than a modern big cat. Your cats, your tigers, your lions, your jaguars, et al. The only major difference really was that Smilodon was much bulkier, much thicker, much more muscular. Now, of course, it didn't just have its strong musculature, it has these gigantic saber teeth, which have been lovingly modelled here by Yosoba at the front. Now, as much as they are very threatening, and Smilodon was the biggest and had the biggest saber teeth of the saber teeth cats, quote unquote, the teeth weren't actually that strong. They were pretty brittle. They were used more for like a precision strike rather than ripping and tearing. They were quite brittle and fragile. If you tried to tear into bone or tear into thick muscle, they might have snapped and broken. So what you would do instead is think of it like a dagger, where you're trying to get to the heart or, you know, get to the throat or something like that and deliver a killing blow. And that's more how these saber-toothed cats would have operated. Of course, if you want to download this, you can check out the link in the description down below. Well said. Well, that's quite a bit weird. Oh, had a little haircut. From a distance, we get a haircut. So, I mean, if you wanted to see it, what it looks like unfurred, you can do. But this is another Yosoba dinosaur. This is Antarctosaurus. And, of course, it is a big, fluffy sauropod. Now, there is no suggestion that Antarctosaurus was actually a big, fluffy sauropod. Let's just get that out of the way. And it does make for a very strange creature. I would say here, in particular, with that fluff and the way it's kind of obscuring the fat and muscle and tendons of the dinosaur, it kind of looks like a gorilla, sort of. You know, it's very King Kong-esque there at the front, with some, oh my god, hello buddy, with some fairly terrifying eyes in there as well. So why is it fluffy? Well, it's fluffy because Yosoba likes to do silly things, and it's called Antarctosaurus. Now, Antarctosaurus is a titanosaurian from the late Cretaceous of South America, and no, I'm afraid it probably wasn't covered in fur. Antarctosaurus isn't named for the Antarctic, which is obviously where this joke is coming from, but the name does have the same origins as the Antarctic. Allow me to explain. Antarctic basically means the opposite. Oh, it's kind of adorable. It's weird, but it's cute. Antarctic basically means the opposite of the north. You know, the Arctic is the north, so the anti, opposite. Antarctic, the Antarctic, is the south. So Antarctosaurus is named as such because it was actually found on the southern country of Argentina. Now, Antarctosaurus has a bit of a messy history. There's only one species, really, Antarctosaurus. I can't believe they're going to make me pronounce this. Antarctosaurus vickmanianus. I hope it's German. Vickmanianus. And even that one species has fragmentary and dubious remains. 4 other species have been described over the years. 3 of them are classed as nomen dubium, i.e. they're doubtful names, they're doubtful to exist. And the other has been assigned to a different genus altogether. So out of the, I mean, even the holotype is fairly dubious, so Antarctosaurus may well not exist. But you know what, even if it gets eradicated from paleohistory, we'll always have this weird fluffy dinosaur from Yossapa. If nothing else, we'll always have our big cuddly sauropod. Well, we've got ourselves another sauropod, this time going in a much more realistic direction. This is a body morph slash texture, skin, etc, for the Camarasaurus. This is the accurate Camarasaurus by Viral Cyclopes with help from El Reptiliano and Sergestus, or Sergestus, I'm not sure which. It is a beaut, isn't it? It actually is fairly stunning. The remodeling, we've got these little jolts here off sort of, you know, bone popping up at the top, slightly raised vertebra, creating these nodules down the spine, as you can see, which really, they're really effective in how subtle they are. I really like that. The patterning, the skin coloration, the texture work here is absolutely beautiful. This is some of the best texture work I've actually ever seen in this game. This is really top level, beautiful stuff here. Shout out to whoever did that in particular, because that is stunning work. And then the whole thing's been remodeled as well to better resemble Camarasaurus, which was not one of my favourite dinosaurs in the game, but I've got to say this version does look a little bit better. You can see how the nasal the nasal area there is quite pronounced. We've got that big flat mouth you expect with Camarasaurus. And I mean, look, it slightly looks like a penis. If I just put it there, I couldn't help but think that's a penis as it came out of the hatchery, because that is, I mean, look, it just is because of how that's been. I'm not going to be a child. I'm not going to be a child. I just want to point it out and then we can move on with our lives, okay? But it's a beautiful rendition of Camarasaurus. Some fantastic, beautiful skin work. And honestly, it just takes the Camarasaurus that's already in the game, gives it fancier skins, gives it a more realistic model. Looks beautiful. That's our new version. So, I mean, the evolution version isn't bad, as you can see. They're pretty similar by and large, but the texture quality on this one is a lot better. It looks a lot less rubbery. We've got a lot more folds and a lot more detail in there. The neck is longer and thicker, and the head's a little bit more bulbous and a little bit thinner in the snout. Very cool stuff. Now, what you may have noticed whilst watching our dinosaurs so far, but probably not because I forgot to put them in, was these new bamboo plants. These were also added by Viral Cyclopes. I believe these were pulled in from Planet Zoo. And credit to Rob Earth for the commission on these brand new plants, because they look pretty fantastic. So we've got 3 different types of bamboo plant. I'll show you them over here. These are our 3 variants. We've got middle sticky up boy here. We've got sort of flatter boy over here. And then we've got tall boy over here on the right hand side. And it's that kind of a bamboo that sprouts outwards and it's covered, you know, it's less of that huge stalks in very rigid lines, but it's much more sort of haphazard and over the place. And it makes for really nice, as you can see, kind of mid-level bushy sort of coverage. And that might sound a little bit weird, but mid-level bushy coverage is very important. And it's something we very much lack in this game. So yeah, really handy bamboo plants, these ones. If you're going to build, you know, a Japanese or Asian inspired habitat, very useful as well. And they add a nice pop of colour. You know, there's something very unlike anything we have in the game so far. Bamboo. Who doesn't love bamboo? Nerds, that's who. Those are some incredible exit noises right there. So, this very, very cool looking stegosaur is Dacenturus. Is it Daken or Dacen? I'm going with Dacen. My heart says Daken though. Dacenturus. I might go for Daken. Dacenturus by Hassan Wakatri, commissioned Shush. Commissioned by William Smart 23. Larger stegosaur up to 30 feet long and up to 7.4 metric tons in pure heftiness. Now, Dacenturus was originally named by famed paleontologist Richard Owen, a name you may well recognize, and it was originally actually called Mosasaurus armatus. That was the type species. But as was pointed out by another famed paleontologist, Othniel Charles Marsh, there already actually existed an Mosasaurus. And that is a now dubious Triassic reptile, I think it's an archosaur, that had been named way back when, in like the mid-1800s, I think 1856 off the top of my head. So, because Mosasaurus already existed, and you can't reuse a genus name like that, Mosasaurus became Dacenturus. Now, in fact, there's a chance, you may well have heard of the dinosaur Miragaia, which is a long-necked stegosaur. There's a chance that Miragaia will also now become Dacenturus, because a paper from just last year in 2024 assigned Miragaia as a junior synonym for Dacenturus. So, Dacenturus, which at some point was Mosasaurus and then had to change, now may well fold Miragaia in, which would be sad because I think a lot of us are aware of Miragaia. We've had some fantastic Miragaia mods in Jurassic World Evolution already, so that would be a shame. But it is just, you know, an idea at the moment. It looks like that might well happen, but people tend to, you know, a new paper will come out and it'll proffer like some new information or a new idea. Whoa. Whoa. New information or proffer a new idea. People are like, yes, this is fact now. You know, but not really. You know, it takes time for information to disseminate around the scientific community and for other papers to back it up and support it and for people to sort of agree. It takes time, folks. So we will have to wait and see on the fate of Miragaia. But until then, Dacenturus is a exceptionally modelled, gigantic stegosaur by Hasenwacker Tree. I think the plate work in particular is exceptional. You can see how it starts, all these short little stunty ones over here, and it gets bigger and thicker and spikier, and then even spikier and spikier and spikier until it looks like something from Saw. And then we get the sort of quasi-thagomizer there at the end of the get out of the shadow. The quasi-thagomizer there at the end of the tail. Even cooler that it's in this kind of like jewel formation like that. And a nice paleo-accurate rendering as well. You can see how the stego's got this kind of slightly sort of heavy bit under the neck. I see a lot of sort of more paleo-accurate stegosaurs rendered in just, oh, down we go, just that way. Yeah, really interesting looking dinosaur with a potentially very interesting place in history. Right, let's head up the hill for a moment and check out some slightly stranger creatures. This is the Jurassic World Alive cosmetic pack by Viral Cyclops and Feilong, commissioned by this little known YouTuber you should go check out called The Gaming Beaver. Now, this adds 7 new Jurassic World Alive dinosaurs to the game as cosmetics to existing dinosaurs. So I'm going to show you all of those right now. If you want to hop out, where have you got? There you are. Get out of the woods. So, Ankylosaurus gets a new cosmetic. This is Ankylos Lux. I'm just going to go ahead and see if it is indeed Lux. This one isn't. The others might be. No idea. But either way, Ankylos Lux, there it is. It is, I don't know what to say about this one. I mean, this might be the craziest of the bunch we started off here. Gigantic spikes coming out every which way. That club at the back is like something out of Monster Hunter. Absolute monster. Over here, we've got a Ceratosaurus, which has become Majundasuchus. Pretty cool. Very shiny, this one. Very shiny. Very, very spiffy. Been oiled. Over here, our Indominus Rex becomes the pretty cool Indonemis, which I believe is a Carbonemis hybrid with the Indominus Rex. So you can see that it's got like this kind of turtle plate sort of scaling going on at the back there. Lots of armor plating around the back, a little bit of fur on the underbelly. We've got a few more to check out though. Over here, that's Ceratosaurus. Over here, we've got an Allosaurus remake. This is Thoradolasaur. This one, I don't know what's in there other than Sinoceratops, but it absolutely has some Sinoceratops, as you can see. So very strange to have this bipedal carnivorous hybrid with the the frill of a Sinoceratops ceratopsid. But there you go, you can see through. That's probably helpful to hunters somehow. Over here, we've got a new Triceratops one. This is Monostegotops, which, as you see, has this absolutely gigantic frill, like an absolute tank of a frill there at the back. And, of course, we have some lovely stegosaur-inspired plates down there, and we even have a thagomizer. A little bit of stegoceratops going on with this one, to say the least. That frill is nonsense. Where's my Tyrannosaurus Rex? There you are. So our Tyrannosaurus Rex becomes Tyrannometrodon, which I'm assuming is a bit of a Dimetrodon hybrid. You see we've got a sail along there at the back and a lot of spikes and ridging and stuff along the spine in general, and also a slightly elongated snout. We've got the basic morphology of a Rex, but then a little bit of Dimetrodon thrown in there. All very well made, also all very well integrated into the game. They're all cosmetics for existing dinosaurs, you know, nothing gets replaced, they all come in a bunch of different colours. There's one more, however, and it's a long time been one of my favourite Jurassic World Alive dinosaurs, so I wanted to release this one, so let's go check out the hatchery. It's so cool. So, our new Dacenturus cosmetic, my favourite of the bunch, becomes Gamma. This is a hybrid between Erlikosaurus and actually Charlie the Velociraptor, as it happens. And I think it's obvious why I like this one so much. We've got this lovely burst of colour. Out of all the madness we've seen so far, this is really the only one that looks like it could be a real dinosaur. It's just a strange, slightly colourful, feathered Therizinosaur, but I just love the colouring. That burst of orange down the throat. We've got these very, very shiny blue, bright blue, sort of azure blue feathers, striped feathers along the back, and then even at the very tail end there, on the tail, as it happens, we've got this dash of sort of pink and a little bit sort of bloody, browny reds coming in there as well. I mean, I think that is an exceptional looking dinosaur. I love this thing. I don't play Jurassic World Alive. I still love this thing. And yeah, this is, like, the pack is cool. If you're into Jurassic World Alive, this is a very cool pack. But I wouldn't really use any of them in my park. This one, I think you could use in a park. I think you could get away with this pretty easily. I think you'd be pretty happy having this one hang around your park for real. What a beautiful dinosaur that is. Again, brought into the game really nicely. Just a big, thick, furry, feathery, colourful Therizinosaurus. What more could a boy want, eh? Exactly, buddy. Exactly. Now, to finish off the video, it is time to make like a Spinosaurus and take to the seas. Not really as dramatic as our last few creatures, is it? So, there we go! This is Dabango valans by Yosuba, a bizarre extinct fish, to say the least. Let's just pause it so you can get a good look at what this thing looks like whilst I talk about it. So, Dabango, brought it again, really nicely modelled here. I love seeing these sort of translucent sort of pockets of skin here. You can see here and here, and they are actually translucent, these little fins. The actual thing is some of Yosuba's very best modelling work, I would suggest, the way it's been brought into the game. Let's just see it in action. I mean, it just swims around like a fish. Meow, it's pretty cool. Where have they all gone? There's one over here. This bizarre looking fish is from the Ypresian age, which is a section of the Eocene from around 48 to 56 million years ago. Now, initially described all the way back in the 18th century, this thing has been known about for a long old time, way back in the 18th century. But the reason I think Yosuba's included it today is because it's gone under redescription this very year in the first half of 2025, and it's gone into its new genus, Dabango. Because like the Dacenturus earlier, Dabango had a different taxon name. It was back in the day actually called Pegasus. Now that was all the way up until the last decade or so, so it spent 150 plus years being called Pegasus, even though Pegasus valans has been used as a name for a type of sea moth all the way back in 1766. I didn't know we were even bothering to identify animals as early as 1766. Now, interestingly, you know, you can see here Dabango has a bizarre shape, and this is actually very similar shape-wise to the larval stage of a ray-finned fish, of many different types of ray-finned fish. So even though the specimen of Dabango we have appears to be an adult, this makes Dabango very likely to be a very pedomorphic fish. Intensely pedomorphic, and that basically means it retains its larval, pedo child, it retains its larval-like appearance from birth all the way through to adulthood. So if we transpose that over to humans, imagine if we were born as babies and we just became larger babies with time. We didn't change shape, our heads didn't get smaller relatively, our eyes didn't get smaller relatively, we just became gigantic babies. That's basically what Dabango is. It's a gigantic baby fish. It's absolutely bizarre and modelled beautifully by Yosuba, and just very cool to see these strange species. I didn't know about Dabango before this week. I had to go read. I love it. It's so weird. You know, I had to go read up on Dabango, and I'm very glad that I did. Who says we can't educate Revolution? Who says? Nobody, actually, but that's not the point. See you later, Dabango, you noble beast. So, just in time for the upcoming Jurassic World Rebirth, we have another accurate creature mod by Viral Cyclops, again with help from El Reptiliano and Sergessus. I say help, you know, some of them did the actual modelling, Viral brought it into the game. It's very much a collaborative effort for these, the accurate Camarasaurus and the accurate Mosasaurus. And it is just straight up a new cosmetic for the Mosasaurus that adds this absolutely complainable lack of facilities. There's a Mosasaurus! Who cares? Imagine going and seeing a real-life Mosasaurus and then complaining because you can't buy a hamburger. I just get a life. Right, anyways, an absolutely beautiful rendition of the Mosasaurus. On the scoots and everything, we've got this absolutely beautiful new model. Really, really nicely modeled. Love the detail here on the back fin, in particular the tail, I should say. That sort of striation there as it moves around the musculature there, the skeleton you can see under there holding it together. It's absolutely fantastic level of detail. Lots of very fine little details in terms of the scaling, these sort of soft front flippers, and then a nicely modelled head area, I suppose. It's a beautiful looking creature. You know, the Jurassic World Mosasaurus is pretty cool, but this feels like a real animal. You know, if you wanted to do a prehistoric planet rendition or something like that, this would definitely be a mod for you. I'm surprised that it's taken this long. I can't believe we haven't really had something like this before, but what a absolutely gorgeous beast that is. Right, on a day filled with new species and new packs and new cosmetics, 4 brand new species still to show you as part of the Abnormal Aquatics pack by Pizza Otter 11. This adds 4 new species to the game with 1 more to come. I'm going to fly through the first 3 a little bit and we'll talk a little bit more about the final one because I think it's the most interesting. So let's take a look here. Our first bizarre new species is Tychodus. This is a flat-toothed shell-crushing shark. So you'll see the teeth of the shark. If you ever see it, you see it's like a ball sort of shape in there. You can see they're very flat. It's got this very strange sort of mouth shape in general. That's because this, it was specialized for crushing into mollusks and crushing through shells rather than ripping and tearing flesh as you would usually expect with such a lot. This is not a small shark. You can see here it's on the Megalodon rig here. We've had some small changes. It's still got the Megalodon skin even, but the mouth has been changed to make it much more capable of tearing into shells and such things. Our second bizarre new creature is certainly that. This is Platylithophycus, a possible filter-feeding mackerel shark. So again, another very bizarre... I mean, I don't know what's going on with the big flat head here. This is very strange stuff. An absolutely bizarre-looking beast, to say the least. Abnormal Aquatics is bang on correct. My god, what is going on here? But yeah, so the other one crushes mollusks, and this one would filter feed, you know, like a modern, say, whale shark. Our third of the Abnormal Aquatics is this rather adorable new tortoise, a Dacenturus, which is a gigantic prehistoric turtle. Don't have much else to say on it, other than it's got very, very strange flippers. And we're going to pop the final one out of the hatchery. And this is Endocerus. So I saved this one for last because the others all feel like, you know, just changes to existing creatures. This one feels very, very much like its own thing. Endocerus is, of course, a cephalopod, a gigantic straight-shelled cephalopod from up to 470 million years ago. And it's actually the largest cephalopod to ever exist in terms of length. And you kind of get the feeling from that looking at this thing, this is a long, long boy. The recent estimates put it at just under 19 feet long. Seems a bit unnecessary, to be honest. But the reason it's so long is because it helps, you know, it's a large, the creature within is very large already. So having this big, long shell helps keep it sort of buoyant and stable in the water and the tides of the water, the shifting of the water, making it a very adept predator. And now, although, you know, this 19 feet long is already fairly gigantic, There are actually reports of a destroyed Endoceras shell from back in the day, which was up to 30 feet long. So our current estimates may even be very, very low for how gigantic this creature may have been. This is clearly an existing animal molded into I can see the flipper here. It's something existing just molded into a bizarre shape. I kind of approve of that approach. I'm trying to tell from the patterning and I can't. It's bizarre work, but I tell you what, this bit has been done really, really well, and does look like a big, straight, shelled, strange cephalopod. Everyone, folks, I was going to end the video there and I completely forgot I had this rather beautiful Rajasaurus. This is made by Netraptor. Netraptor comes out with a ton of really beautiful looking dinosaurs. I haven't necessarily always got on with their texture work, however. There's something about it that made it not feel necessarily like they fit into the game world as established. But I've got to say, this Rajasaurus, and they also brought out a Icysaurus fairly recently, really look pretty fantastic. I think this is a very, very cool Rajasaurus, really beautifully modelled. We've got this tiny little arms there at the side, this really interesting sort of dappled, ashy sort of pattern, and I love this, just where they've put the colour. No, oh, I hate this bug from the bottom of my heart. What is going on? What is this bug? Can anyone explain this bug to me? I really like this patterning on the head. I think rather than having, you know, big new stripes appear all over the body, all this extraneous detail, just sort of keeping it to the head is a really interesting idea. I don't have any information prepared on Rajasaurus, but it's a really, really cool looking mod, and it deserves to be highlighted for its, yeah, the modelling and the texture work is pretty top notch. That's a cool looking Raja as far as I'm concerned, and I definitely recommend you check out the Icysaurus as well. Go on, little buddy. I wish I had more to say on Rajasaurus. It is one of the dinosaurs that's included in the DNA of the Indominus Rex, so it does have a big part in canonical history for the franchise, and of course it is a sort of mid-sized Abelosaurid. Mid to large, maybe not as big as the biggest Abelosaurids I would suggest, but a sort of mid-sized Abelosaurid. Really cool looking though, really, really cool. Right, 10 brand new mods in that pack. Like I said, the Nexus has been popping off recently. All of these will be linked in the mod document in the description down below. Definitely go give the mod makers some love if you like the look of any of these, or you're going to download them for yourselves. You know, people do this for free. Some people are out there commissioning these, so we get these into the game. You know, all of these things are, by and large, labours of love, which is very cool to see and helps keep the game vibrant even years later. Let me know which was your favourite in the comment section down below. Throw me a like if you enjoyed the video. I'm going to go turn my air conditioning on because I'm melting. Hope you all have a lovely weekend. Thank you for joining me. Cheers much love as always. Bye-bye.